Naka, namaste and good evening to you. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Tonight we have the acting CEO of the Land Transport Authority, Mr. Irimaia Rokosawa, who will be talking to us about many issues that have affected us this year in terms of road-related offences. We've lost a lot of people on our roads this year compared to last year. Many people have been sadly been affected by that. A lot of people hurt on the road, and the concerns continue. Thank you again for sending your questions to us. We value all your questions. This show is about accountability and transparency to ensure that we bring the people who are holding positions to ensure that they come. They listen to your concerns, they listen to our issues that have been coming through in terms of what's happening on the ground and how we can effect positive change for you, the people of this country, a beautiful country, and what more can be done. So, Mr. Rokosawa, thank you again for coming this evening, and we do apologize for the technical difficulties faced earlier this evening. Firstly, what are the statistics on fatal and serious road accidents this year?
Yeah, when I was Vijay, as matters currently stand, the fatality numbers stand at 72 compared to 38 in the same period last year. That's about 89% increase in terms of major accidents. 68 compared to 36 last year. That's about 88% increase too. In terms of the fatalities, the major cause of fatalities at the moment is on speeding. That's about 46% or 33 fatalities caused by speeding. And the second category is on driving behavior, which is drunken driving, dangerous driving, and careless driving. The number sits at 16 or about 22%. And on the third category is pedestrian at fault. The number sits at 12 or close to 17%. And the remaining 15% or 11 fatalities, it's spread across driver fatigues or pedestrians at fault and hit and run. They make up the remaining 15% or 11. The Land Transport Authority, together with the general public, is quite concerned about the rise in the fatality numbers. And we are working closely with our key stakeholders and also the Fiji Police in ensuring that we come up with measures in order to reduce these numbers moving forward, and also ensure that these festive seasons we continue with our joint operations and also the road safety awareness programs to see that we stay away safely into 2024.
Apart from people dying on the roads, there's a lot of people who also get badly hurt and maybe get disabled, and that also affects the family a lot. So what is your message to the people who are watching this out there on Straight Talk?
Yeah, Vijay, like I said, in terms of the major accidents and even on fatalities, quite significant numbers is pedestrians at fault, and those pedestrians were victims of bad driving behavior. For pedestrians, for us, is to adhere to road signage and road markings, and also avoid these distractions on mobile phones and also on headphones. When you're on the road, especially when you're crossing zebra crossings, be cautious, be courteous, and also be considerate. For us pedestrians crossing zebra crossing, we know it's our right of way, but it should be managed in more cautious behavior. At least give some sort of indication to the drivers that are coming that you're about to trod into the zebra crossings. And for us too as passengers, we humbly request the assistance of every Fijian out there. I think it's about time for us to speak out and also be vocal in terms of bad driving behaviors while we are there as passengers in in PSV vehicles or even in private vehicles, because Land Transport Authority will need the assistance of every Fijian out there in order for us to not only reduce the fatalities, and our intention is to curb it once and for all. I know it will be quite a challenge, but for us to hold hands and work together, we can bring these numbers down.
Now, in terms of accidents, we know that the numbers are alarming. What are specific action plans that are in place from the LTA?
Yeah, Vijay, in October this year, we have done public consultations, and we don't want to be seen as doing business as usual, because the business as usual is what the numbers are at the moment. So we are really looking at the stats, and we are working closely with the Fiji police, and like you rightly said, in terms of the major accidents, some of this is just resolved between the two parties. It's never highlighted to LTA, and at times only the police knows about these stats, and LTA is normally brought into the picture when there are fatalities. But you rightly said, these are the hidden numbers. So we are working closely with police in terms of the interagency information sharing. If they can relay those information to Land Transport Authority, and even though there's no, fatality has not taken place, but in major accidents, we can always take the driver to task in terms of our show cause. So analyzing the data, we have through our new board, we have gone out to the general public. We did a public consultation in Nandi and Suva and in Lambasa. We are coming up with 5 initiatives. 4 initiatives are more deterrent measures, and the fifth initiative is a more rewarding measure. And these initiatives are the introduction of demerit points, the introduction of 2 levels of provisional license, P1 and P2, because we have seen that the increase in the number of fatalities or the traffic infringement notice along the provisional license holders, even the learners. In this year, 2 fatalities on learners. They were not supposed to be even driving by themselves when they were involved in those accidents, and also because of the category of license they are holding. And we have also seen the rise in the number of Class 2 driver license holders that are involved in major accidents or in fatalities. So we were asking ourselves, why the rise in the Class 2? And we've seen for PSV drivers, they have a mandatory defensive driving course every 6 years. For Class 2, they only undertake the defensive driving only once as part of their minimum qualification requirement or the prerequisites for you to get hold of a full license. During a provisional phase, you undertake your defensive driving course. So we are trying to come up with this initiative to also have a mandatory 6-year DDC also for Group 2. And the third initiative is in terms of the escalation from Class 2 to the PSV mode. Previously, in the regulation, for you to get hold of a PSV license, the minimum age was 21. That was revised in 2017, and now the minimum age for PSV is 18. So in terms of the escalations, we want to ensure that there's driving experience and driving maturity. And some of these initiatives will require some of revisions in the law, and also will require some change requests in terms of our system in order to accommodate all these initiatives to create more deterrent measures in terms of curbing road fatalities. And yeah, the fifth one was on a more rewarding system. We want to introduce like gold license card for drivers that do not incur any traffic infringement notice, or drivers that have the tendency to advocate good driving behaviors. And they'll be probably given a gold license card, and you will be privileged with special services in all our 22 branches across Fiji. And we were very glad that the response from the general public was quite supportive in terms of these initiatives, in order to come with some measures in order to ensure that we assist in reducing road fatalities in the future.
LTA was not seen on the roads for a period of time. What was the reason?
You know, Vijay, we are thankful to this new board and the new government for reintroducing our 24/7 operations. And now we are working on three shifts from 6 to 10, 6 to 2, 2 to 10, and 10 to 6. Part of the reason of our visibility was not obvious on the ground was all due to budgetary provisions provided to LTA. We couldn't afford to pay our officers in terms of our shift allowance. And we have got close to about $2 million increase in this financial year from the Ministry of Finance, and we have been able to maneuver around in terms of re-strategizing and working within the given resources in order to ensure that to reduce road fatality and also to ensure that we carry out our functions and functions of being an enforcement regulator and customer service with the overarching function of road safety. These three components is very, very, very important in terms of enforcement: our visibility, mobility, and communication for us to ensure that we carry out our legislative duty.
So it was not by choice that you were not on the roads. You were not funded well.
That's rightly said, Vijay. On a daily basis, every single fees and fines that we collect in Land Transport Authority is all deposited to the government consolidated fund account. We don't keep any revenue with the Land Transport Authority. Our operation is funded through the operating budget that we are given on an annual basis.
Thanks for that clarification. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Now, there's questions being raised about jaywalking, people illegally crossing the road, and these are serious concerns being raised in areas like Suva City and towns in the country where there's crowded areas and the pedestrian behavior is being questioned, and why this is not being strictly enforced. Do you have any plans? What's your message to the people?
Our message to the people of Fiji is to adhere to road markings, adhere to road signage, and ensure that we comply with safety rules. In terms of crossings, obey the street lights signs, the zebra crossings. Those are provisions in place for us to probably go over to the other side of the road. And like I mentioned before, in terms of the stats, close to about 17% is just on pedestrians at fault. Lives lost just because of simple rules that we have not adhered to. Right now the numbers stand at 12, 9 are on pedestrians at fault, and 3 are on drunk pedestrians. So even the 9, that's too many for a calendar year, so to say. And I believe the latest one was just here in Stinson Parade, was just a distraction of a headphone. And probably, like I mentioned before, in terms of road users, drivers and pedestrians have both key roles to play in terms of indication where you need to slow down and indication if you are about to cross. So my message to the general public: please do adhere to the road signage, adhere to the road markings, because your life also matters.
You can only do so much. What about enforcement in relation to jaywalking? Are you looking at strictly enforcing that and fining people?
Yes, if that is a measure that we will introduce in order to bring down fatalities, we will ensure that we enforce those. And like I said, we are pleading with the general public in terms of assisting the Land Transport Authority as measures for us to curb this issue. Yeah.
What about speeding? You've highlighted that is a big concern. What is your message to people? We know there are drivers speeding. What is your message to people who notice speeding drivers or dangerous drivers, reckless drivers?
our message to the general public is there are platforms in place for you to raise this recklessness in terms of our help email, help@lta.com.fj, in terms of our texting platform, texting at 582, or in terms of our live chat, which can be accessed through our website at www.lta.com.fj. And we are working with our manager customer service, and also with our media liaison officer, in terms of having generic statements, because and we can just fill in just the blanks on the date, the particular offender, on and which registration number, and we will need those statements to be signed and also witnessed, because this offense can also be challengeable in court. In terms of Land Transport Authority, in terms of our Act, Part 5 and Part 6 of our Act is challengeable right up until the High Court. So that's why it's very prudent for Land Transport Authority, before we issue a traffic infringement notice that has been witnessed by third parties, we'll need evidence to support us, so that we can, through our legal team, defend these traffic infringement notices in court.
Drunk driving continues to be an issue, and you are working with police on that. We're entering into the festive season. There can be a serious rise of that. How are you ensuring that there is a big deterrent and people do not drink and drive?
Yeah, Vijay, it'll be quite a challenge trying to address this during the festive season. For us, our visibility on the ground is very paramount. We are working on a 24/7 shift, also together with our colleagues from the Fiji Police Force. And we have started our joint operations from the 15th of November, and we will be running across to the new year, right up until to 15th of January, to coincide with the opening of the new school term. And we have received assurance from our colleagues, the Fiji Police, that they will be camping overnight in the respective police posts and police stations. But then again, these are just the enforcement aspect. We'll need the assistance of the general public in terms of notifying instances or incidents where there's a drunken driving happening in respective villages, major towns and cities, and then also in our communities out there. We will need the assistance of the general public in order for us to address this issue, which we know will surely happen during this festive seasons. But our general plea to every Fijian out there: should you enjoy, should you decide to take alcohol, don't drink and drive, enjoy responsibly, and also be courteous and be considerate and empathize with all road users on the day.
There's also issues in relation to people running the red light. A lot of people doing that in terms of traffic cameras, speed cameras. How effective have they been? Are they working well and efficiently?
Yeah. As matters currently stand, we have about 31 speed camera and red light speed cameras around Fiji. Within those 31 poles, there are only 14 cameras there, and we rotate it on a monthly basis. And we are working with the Fiji Roads Authority. We've been having discussions if there are modern equipments or modern technology out there in order to have these cameras embedded in the street lights. And you've rightly mentioned, Vijay, this is to be a normal occurrence in the West, but it has started to come over now to the Central Eastern, and it's very obvious. And there's been a number of fatalities in trying to probably calculate when will be the opposite direction coming green, but the calculation was wrong, and I think it was in a Kalo Crescent, where the taxi driver tried to run the red, but at the same time, the other guy from the opposite directions was already taken off. And like I said, right now it's two separate equipments. the red light speed camera together with the street light. So we are asking around with the IT companies. We've been having chat also with our overseas counterparts. What's new there in the market that we are able to ensure that we have cameras in every street light in order to avoid this running of red light behavior.
I've seen being on the road, like even a Samambula roundabout, the traffic light at the intersection there, where people just running the red light every afternoon, just and putting other people's lives at risk. We've seen the same at the Langere Bridge. It seems like that people do not care whether there's is other cameras working.
All the cameras are working. Like I said, there's only 14 cameras around the 31 poles, and we are rotating it on a daily basis. Right now, there are only 2 red light cameras. The one at Nambua Junction, beside DAV Girls. That's one. The one at Samambula, FIT. But it's on only on one way direction. It has to have a 100-meter clearance, for his speed camera to work. And that's another challenging issue for Fiji, because normally, because of the certain obstacles, we don't have straight clearance in order for these red light speed cameras to effectively work and ensure the initially intended is achieved.
Maybe while we wait for the cameras, some of the LTA officers and police officers can be at these hotspots at peak times when these drivers are recklessly driving and breaking the rules.
Yeah, totally agree, Vijay. Yeah.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
I've always resorted to drugs because of the work that I do as a coping mechanism.
You said you started sex work and drugs at the same time?
I was 12 years old.
Do you believe, based on the current situation, your salary and allowances should be reviewed and reduced?
Definitely, I think it should be reviewed to reflect what is there in the market.
Is the government of the day promoting nepotism within our community and hatred towards Indo-Fijians?
Thank you very much. The answer is no.
$1 in $3 of our taxes goes towards servicing our debt. So you can't say it's nothing.
There's also the need to do financial inclusion a bit better.
What is your message to the people who may rate you as not good enough for finals rugby?
Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan, brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services.
In a world where information is power, let's talk about something important. HIV. HIV, or human immunodeficiency virus, attacks the immune system, making it harder for the body to fight off infections. But here's the key. Knowing your status is the first step to control. Get tested. Knowledge is your armor. Treatment is your strength. Because understanding HIV means empowering yourself. Together, we can break the stigma. Get informed, get tested. Your health matters. Know your status. Break the stigma. A message by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services.
Watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, the acting CEO of Land Transport Authority, Mr. Irimaia Rokosawa, and we are talking about several issues, mainly in relation to the people dying on our roads this year. Very concerning. The total number of major accidents, the total number of accidents on our roads, things that we could have avoided if people just followed the road rules, and what the LTA is doing. The acting CEO said budget constraints played a big part in them not being visible earlier, but that has been rectified now with the Ministry of Finance giving an allocated budget to ensure there's visibility. We know also, based on the statistics that the acting CEO has given, you have a large number of people and cars to look at the acting CEO.
As bad as currently stand in terms of the vehicle registration, we have about 147,000 vehicles registered in Fiji, and for driver license holders, it's about 350,000. In the last 5 years, the vehicle population in Fiji has increased about 17%. In terms of the driver license, it has dropped a bit by 5%, probably because of the accidents of our drivers to green pastures overseas. But then again, 350 with 147, that's close to 500,000. But that's not considering the passengers and also the pedestrians. And bringing that in totality, we serve the whole of Fiji, the general public. In terms of our enforcement, we have 95 officers, and with compare that with the number of vehicles, so it's like one enforcement officer for every 1,500 vehicles. And for the 95 enforcement officers, 26 are in our overloading team, 23 are in our e-ticketing, and 46 in our general enforcement. In terms of our overloading, there's about 9,837 truck and trailers. So for one overloading officer, he has to enforce about 378 truck and trailers. In terms of our e-ticketing, there's about 1,188 buses, or close to 3,600 trips. So that's like one e-ticketing officer to enforce about 52 buses, or about close to 155 trips. That is the challenge that is with us. And that's why, and also in terms of our legislation, we don't have the power to arrest. That's why we are always, LTA always feel safe when we work closely with the Fiji Police Force. Because especially during this festive season, there will be a lot of merrymaking and alcohol consumptions. And when we are there with our colleagues from Fiji Police Force, it's always safe for us, because at times our officers do get assaulted or manhandled on the ground while they are carrying out their legislative duties.
The standard of public service vehicle drivers has been raised. You highlighted about the age, that now at the age of 18 people can get a PSV license. It was 21 prior to this. People have raised concerns about the amount of public service vehicles involved in horrific accidents this year. And there's also an urgent call for mandatory drug tests. One is mandatory drug tests before every license renewal, but apart from that, random tests. The reason is people are saying they have noticed drivers who are PSV drivers, some PSV drivers, who are taking methamphetamine to stay awake for longer hours, and people are really concerned that these people are behind the wheel.
I totally agree with you, Vijay, in terms of the unusualness of some of these major accidents or fatalities. And while discussing with our colleagues from Fiji Police, we have considered that element of meth playing a role in these major accidents, and we are working within our stakeholder forums, and also looking into our legislation in terms of the introduction of drug tests, like you rightly said. And also we want to introduce this during the preliminary phase when they are applying for their PSV license. And I believe this is nothing new. It's been done in New Zealand and in Australia, and we are just replicating measures that have been undertaken by our regional brothers, in terms of at NZTA and also at Vic Roads or Transport New South Wales. And in the preliminary phase during their application, as matters can understand, we normally ask for their medical certificate. We are only looking at their physical capability to drive. But then again, we need to take a further step in terms of probably introducing a drug test, and also having this drug test during the enforcement or also during the accident phase. Because we know meth is a serious issue here in Fiji, and we are aware that due to the accidents, the severity of it, or like I said, some of these accidents are very unusual in places where it could have been easily avoided. And we have been having discussions with the police and ways to introduce this into the law and also in terms of our enforcement exercises.
Now this is quite urgent. We need this quickly because the drug pandemic is out of hand in Fiji. And I understand you're trying to do it for the initial stages, but we believe that the license holders, some of the license holders, they are already on it. What about them? Will you also look at random tests and tests based on renewal of licenses?
We'll surely do that.
How quickly or how soon will you do that?
We will, like I said, we will have to look into the legislations and ensure that whatever we do is also legal in terms of our act.
The minister, we had spoken to the minister a few weeks ago, and he agrees with the idea. He knows this is a problem. Now everybody agrees. You agree. We all agree. We're watching. We're talking here. So it's a matter of time. How soon can this be done?
For us, the sooner the better. We work closely with our line ministry and also with the SD's office in ensuring that this is embedded in our regulation, so that we can quickly enforce it.
We will follow this up with the ministry and also the lawmakers to ensure this is done. A very contentious issue with the rise in drugs. Now there's another question about taxis with heavily tinted windows. This person is saying this is not good for passenger safety, also hides criminal activities. What is LTA doing about this?
Vijay, in terms of tints, the only exemptions in the law is on ministerial vehicles and also on diplomatic vehicles. But then again, in terms of tints, mandatory requirements is that it should allow 70% light penetrations. Anything more than that is not allowed. We do give some certain exemptions only for safety reasons and or medical reasons.
But not for taxis.
Not for taxis. Not for any PSV, they're not supposed to.
So are your officers checking for these heavily tinted windows?
When we come across it during enforcement, then and there they're told to strip it off and then again issue tints. And something Vijay, we are working very closely is in terms of the port of entry. We are working with FRCS to ensure that how do we regulate the market for this, because they have been allowed to be imported into the country in terms of tints like fancy lamps that are used as accessories in vehicles. And if you are to regulate the market, it should be regulated from the point of entry. And for tints, the challenge about tints is not only used in vehicles; it can be used also in offices, in terms of to ensure that minimum sunlight is entered into the certain offices. So that's quite a challenge with us. But like I said, in terms of our enforcement, when we come across those non-conforming tints, we do issue traffic incident notice, and also they are taken off then and there.
The people are asking why heavily tinted vehicles for ministers.
For security reasons, like I said, yeah.
But there's more than ministerial vehicles, government vehicles that have tints now.
Yeah, and like I said, we are not even aware which of the vehicles are the ministers are using. Some of them, they do rotate around all along this period of ensuring the security of our honorable ministers, and also not only that, like I said, also on medical grounds.
Because Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka, when they came into office, he has given a directive already to his government ministers that he wants the tints off, and maybe an assessment needs to be done, because members of the public are asking where's the leeway and how many vehicles, because there's many government vehicles now with tints still on, and maybe a hangover from the past 16 years when there were a lot of vehicles with heavy tins.
Exactly.
Will that need to be reviewed?
Yeah, like I said, those exemptions were given by the Land Transport Authority. For us to revoke those exemptions, we are working closely with the Fleet Department, the Ministry of Finance, to give us the instructions that these certain vehicles no longer should be.
When will you do that?
Come again?
When will you do that?
Like I said, we'll have to wait for the instructions because LT was the one who gave the exemptions upon request. So we can only take it off upon another instructions that they are no longer should be exempted.
Use of flashing lights by government vehicles, police vehicles and ambulances, when they can use it. Because right now, and this is even when people come from abroad, when they see a flashing light and they know there's an emergency, and sometimes they see that the flashing light is going and they're stopping at the shop in the next few meters and they're asking, was there an emergency? It's an abuse of emergency lights, and an emergency light should be a clear signal, or flashing lights, that it is an emergency. How are you policing this, and how can this be handled?
Yeah, like I said, those flashing lights were given there for a reason, for security or emergency purpose, but it shouldn't be abused, and you've rightly stated that, shouldn't be abused. And if we come across cases where there's abuse, we'll usually take the driver at task. And there are certain incidents that has taken place which is unreported. That's why we'll need the general public to notify us in certain of those incidents. And also we'll work closely with the Fleet Department in Ministry of Finance in terms of those flashing lights for government vehicles, police, and for ambulance.
So if people notice that, and if they can video that with the registration, they can send it across to you?
Sure, Vijay, yeah. And like I said, it has to be evidence that it's been abused.
There's another question in relation to your services after the third-party insurance policy changed. This is in relation to, as you know, the law was changed and it came under the Accident Compensation Commission of Fiji, where the ACCF payment has to be made at LTA and for renewal of your vehicle, etc. This person is raising the issue that it takes a lot of time to go in queue to pay for those things, then go back, do your fitness test for your vehicle, come back and then queue up again. He said it takes quite a lot of time, and he's asking, when will we have the capability to make payments online for LTA? He says the buttons and links exist on the website but don't work. What is being done about this?
Vijay, that's a very good question. In terms of the authorized motor vehicle accident levy, which is the third party, the introduction of ACCF back in 2018, you've rightly mentioned that previously you pay your third party insurance with insurance companies. But there have been cases that have been pending in court for numerous years. So the government then decided to go away with the third-party insurance from insurance companies, and which saw the introduction of ACCF. So now the ACCF has a no-fault policy. In terms of the payment, right now, as matters currently stand, like the customer has raised, they do pay the motor vehicle accident levy together with the inspection fee. Then they get their vehicle inspected, and then they come and pay for their wheel tax. The biggest challenge with us is our current system. The current system with the Land Transport Authority, because we work on a cash accounting basis, which coincides with government accounting system. Government accounting system works on cash accounting. For us to address this issue, we need to come up with a new system where you can have advance payment. Like what is the total cost of getting your vehicle inspected? It's probably about $300. So once you do that payment, you've already paid for your third party, you paid for inspection fee, you paid for your wheel tax and other related fees. So you just have to take your vehicle to the inspection ramp, get it tested, If it's not passed, you can go back and probably change the tires and all. There's still a liability sitting in the account. So you can just come back. But the current system, no, it works on a cash basis. We cannot keep your account overnight because if there's an extra deposit done or extra payment done, it has to be balanced of the end of the day and it has to be taken as other revenues. So that way, that advance payment from a certain customer is taken as not as a inspection or wheel tax payment, but it's lost through other payments. That's the challenge with the Land Transport Authority. It has to do with the accounting system and it has to do with the information system.
So you got a time frame for changing this system to come to present day?
We are thankful for the government of the day. They have approved our digitization journey, and we've been given a budgetary allocations. We are starting first with a business process engineering. We have engaged a consultant from Australia known as Adoptivate, and they have taken us through this journey. And for LTA, in terms of our functions, we are the only commercial statutory authority in Fiji that still carries out these three functions of being an enforcement, regulator, and customer service. Other commercial statutory authority, they have been further corporatized in order to break up these arms into three. For Land Transport Authority, it's still consolidated into one. So for our customer-facing officers, he or she has to weigh these three functions. Which of these three do I value in this incident? Do I take the role as enforcement, or take the role as a regulator, or take the role as a customer service? Over the years, we've been focusing on regulator and enforcement. This component of customer service, we have neglected. And probably because of the monopoly power, but when we neglect the customer service, there will be a big public outcry. It's from the general public that gets served. So we are trying to work through our processes in order to make it more customer-centric. That's why we've engaged this consultant. We haven't touched the system yet. We work on our processes. Once we have our processes more customer-centric, then we'll take that process into either a tailor-made system or a off-the-shelf system. In terms of the online payment, right now, as matters currently stand, we have only 4 services that you can pay online. And the biggest challenge is in our system again. The source codes is very complicated that we cannot even undertake internet banking to harmonize the banking system in order to our current system. For your information, Vijay, just for driver license itself, there's like 70 different scenarios. When you do a payment, and some of these fees are very similar, or they are the same. When you do a payment, the system has to read either that is a payment for learners, a payment for provisional, a payment for group 3, a payment for group 4, group 5, group 8, group 9. And that can only be done if there's integration in the system, from the banking system to the LTA. And because of those situations, we cannot do those integration. That's part of the digitization journey, to ensure that we grab hold of these internet banking facilities and also on the payment gateway. We are working with banks in terms of not only having Visa cards, but also Visa debit cards and just the normal debit cards, so that we can ensure that the general public out there have the capability to do their payments online. For us, we would prefer cashless transactions. We have introduced other modes like FPOS, other modes like MyCash with Digicel, and also M-Pesa with Vodafone. And for us, it's also a security reason. We are opening till 3:30 in the afternoon, and the banks, we are working in certain memorandum of understanding with the banks if they can allow us into their doors before 5 o'clock. But at times, when we close our doors at 3:30, the office is still full packed. Our customer service officers are still serving till 4:30, 4:45. By the time we make our way to the bank, they've already shut their doors. We understand also their concerns in terms of their operations. But then again, if it's cashless transactions, we would eliminate these security measures. But like I said, we are working with our consultant, business process in terms of our business process engineering, and once that's done, we'll take it through to a new system. This current system is taken us across from 2016 till date, but there's room for us to improve further.
There's questions also raised about certain platforms by government or connected to government, platforms that were done earlier, whereas this person is saying the tabs exist but they do not work. It is something for further discussion on when these websites were created. Definitely you were not the acting CEO at the time, and what was the intention and how those tabs exist but do not work. Narendra Prakash, he said he's written to LTA and he's raised this issue regarding the double line when making a right turn from Bow Street into Carew Street. And this is in Suva and vice versa. He said he's written to LTA and FRA to come and make observations in this respect, and he's speaking as a concerned citizen. As a matter of fact, all drivers are crossing the double line if and when entering Carew Street, coming from the right-hand side on Bow Street, and or when making a right turn from Carew Street onto Bow Street. The authorities have not placed any symbol of no right turn signage or on either side of the road. What can be done here?
That is a really concern in terms of coming down Bow Street and trying to make a right turn to extra supermarket. I mean, the proper road maneuvering is you have to go through the runabout, then turn from there so that you can easily turn into extra supermarket. And in terms of road signage and road markings, we'll work closely with our stakeholder, the Fiji Roads Authority, in order to ensure that they do address this issue.
Thank you for clarifying that. We've got Savneet Kumar from Singatoka. He's asking, why can't LTA officers be present on the road at night to conduct random checks? A lot of vehicles with defects are seen on the road at night. A lot of overloaded trucks operate at night as well.
As I stated earlier, we are back into our 24/7 operations. In terms of Singatoka, we don't only cover the main trunks along the Coral Coast. Singatoka runs all the way from Namatakula all the way to Nawai, and also to the inner highlands of Nanronga and Navosa. And we are working closely with our stakeholder, Fiji Police. But then again, like I said, here the customer has rightly mentioned, there are instances where overloading trucks, they come out in the wee hours of the morning, and we have seen instances where we've been followed by certain vehicles, and they are calling these overloaded trucks LT is on the road, and there's another culture that's coming in, and we are trying to address this with SG's office. Failure to stop when we flag down overloaded trucks, and failure to weigh. And they have certain methods of offing the engine and stopping the vehicle from going into our portable wheelways. And we are trying to work with the SG's office to have a new specimen charge for this. Failure to stop and failure to weigh. And at times our overloading officers have to stay there for like 3 hours. The overload trucks has been parked. From experience, our officers know that it's overloaded. But we don't have any means of taking the vehicle over into the portable wheelways. And what they'll do, they'll wait for us to vacate the site, and then they'll come and move the vehicles. While we know the registration numbers, we know whom does that vehicle belong to, but there's no specimen charge for that particular offence.
You've also raised concerns about Viber groups existing with many people, thousands of people on Viber groups trying to dodge LTA and police.
There's this Viber group known as Highway Alert, and the latest information that we've received, there's about 14,000 active members, and we have done our analysis through the numbers that we've seen that are part of this forum, and like I've mentioned in previous interviews, these are civil servants, Fijians in higher corporate office, mothers and fathers, and we humbly plead with the Fijians and those who are members of this Highway Alert forum. Please ensure that you use that energy and that effort to spread road safety messages within the forum members, because your police officers and your LTA enforcement officers, we are there on the road for every Fijians, because your lives do matter. 72 numbers in terms of fatalities and 68 in terms of major accidents. Those can be easily avoidable. Like I mentioned, about more than 50% of the fatalities are just on bad driving behaviors, which is human related. It's not even a mechanical issue. The mechanical aspects of fatalities it's a very insignificant number.
Are there any plans to crack down on vehicles that have excessive or colorful lights, which people are saying are blinding the drivers at night?
No, Vijay, as matters currently stand, we have issued about 3,068 traffic infringement notice. This was a question that was earlier asked by another reporter, and this is due to non-conforming lights or headlamps with extra glares, or even those ones that are not functioning. Only one of the headlamps that are working, and this is against the law, and we are putting a foot down in terms of this infringement notice, infringements, and we do issue infringement notice when we come across these incidents.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
In a world full of questions, let's start with an important one. How does HIV spread? Understanding HIV transmission is the first step to a safer future. HIV doesn't spread through casual contact. It's transmitted through unprotected sex, sharing needles, and from mother to child during pregnancy, labor, or breastfeeding. But here's the good news. Knowledge empowers you. Use protection, get tested, and together, we can stop the spread. Break the chain. Protect yourself and those you care about. Know the facts. Stop the spread. A message by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. Get informed, stay protected.
Watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and we are talking to the Acting Land Transport Authority CEO, Mr. Irimaia Rokosawa, a lot of issues being discussed about LTA, the work that it's doing, and clarification there. It's back on 24/7 operation now, also at night. No more only 8 to 5, as people were thinking that LTA is not out and about. So the acting CEO has made that clear. Mr. Rokosawa, there's questions about vehicles that people are saying are not fit to be on the road, and it's clear that they have approved stickers of LTA. Issues about how these vehicles have been given fitness to be on the road.
Yeah, we have our regulations in place. When they come to LT for inspections, in terms of inspection ramps, we ensure that they comply within the regulations in terms of the standards. And we also have our authorized motor vehicle inspection agencies. And in terms of this process of inspections, in order to ensure that there are preventive controls and detection controls in our system, we have moved away from this manual vehicle test results. We have introduced a automated vehicle test results sheets in order for vehicle examiners to clearly populate the box whether it's a pass or a fail. Previously, this vehicle test results it was manually done, and at times they just take or just put a line, and then it's given to the customer service officer, and at times they struggle to see the scribblings or what exactly it's been ticked, whether it's been the fail or. So we have introduced this automated process in order to eliminate some of these gray areas around inspection centers at LT branches or even at the inspection agency at our authorized motor vehicle inspection agencies. But like I said, there's still room to improve further. Even though their detection controls are there, we want to ensure that there are preventive controls. And another challenge that we face in terms of our equipments. At times, our authorized motor vehicle inspection agencies are more well equipped than our inspection centers. We are working with the Line Ministry and also the Ministry of Finance to ensure that we carry out our legislative duty in ensuring that standards of vehicles are maintained. We will need the right equipment in terms of smoke testers, brake testers, so that we can eliminate this gray area around whether that vehicle was fit enough to be on the road or not. Yeah.
There's a question about road rules. Are they made for all? This about government vehicles are hardly seen following rules, speeding away. Officers on the ground do not book them even though offences happen in front of them.
For government vehicles, I can assure the general public out there, in terms of our red light speed cameras, there are only certain numbers that are exempted. Apart from that, every single government vehicles will be issued with a traffic infringement notice, and we work closely with our government fleet in terms of the Ministry of under the Ministry of Finance, in ensuring that the traffic infringement notice issued to the vehicle is actually given to the driver on that particular offense date. And this is something, Vijay, I'd like to give the heads up or probably ask the assistance of the general public. We undertake a show cause process for frequent offenders and bad drivers out there. But there are, in most instances, when we undertake a show cause, it's not the driver that's been show cause on that particular day who appears in terms of our disciplinary process, because the vehicle owner have the tendency to keep on paying the fines. A mom or a dad or even the permit holder, in terms of I'm talking about the red light speed camera offences, and the red light speed camera offences, in terms of the total enforcement tins that have been issued by LT on a monthly basis, we issue about 16,000 tins on a monthly basis. 12,000 of that is just on red light speed cameras, so that's like 3/4. But at times the permit holder or the vehicle owner have the tendency to keep on paying the fines. There are provisions in the law, and also it's been attached to the traffic visual notice that either been posted in the registered mail or email to the particular vehicle owner to transfer the offense from them as the vehicle owner to the driver. And they would know quite well who was the driver on the particular day, particular incident. But they have the tendency to keep on paying the fines. And when we undertake a show cause, then they come and probably justify or try and mitigate that I was not the driver on that particular. If we have the tendency to keep on doing this, then the main culprit is not taken to task, because we are just bringing in the vehicle owner, not the particular driver.
But the issue is, again, if you have numerous offences of a similar nature, shouldn't it affect the permit or the license?
For your information, Vijay, in the last financial year, we have undertaken about 2,547 disciplinary, about 2,557, about 2,450 is just on counseling and giving warnings. About 44 has been given final warning. 28 has got their license suspended. 68 has got their license cancelled. Even though they come and try and justify that they were not the driver, but we go with our records. Yeah. But then again, they probably will be telling us the truth. They were not the driver. So even though we are penalizing the vehicle owner, but probably the real culprit is still driving around, and probably he is not a vehicle owner, he is just a driver license holder. And at times when we analyze the traffic feasible notice, we go for the speeding offences that's been issued by police, because that's straight to the driver or that particular. So, okay, hold on, yeah, maybe for these red light speed cameras we have certain grounds, but these are police states, no? But then again, we know that there are certain permit holders, especially minibus holders, who do not drive. They are just the permit holder, and they have the tendency to change drivers. So, like I said, because of their intent to renew their vehicle registration, they normally pay up the fines. So that, because if they don't pay up the fines, their vehicle will not be renewed on the annual basis, the annual renewal. So if they have the tendency to keep on doing that, then the main culprit. But like I said, when they appear for show cause, we take them to task. Them as the vehicle owner or the permit holder, and also for not adhering to the provisions of the law to transfer the things.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and the question from Ratnash Narayan for the acting CEO of Land Transport Authority. Ratnash is the president of the Suva Taxi Association, and he's saying that we do understand operations for taxi open rank system is under review by the Transport Ministry and LTA. He's asking when will LTA reveal which system will be adopted.
Now, Olive, the introduction of the open taxi rank was on the understanding that the market will adjust itself. We have moved away from the municipal basis and the introduction of the open taxi ranks, but then again, certain issues have arise out of the introduction of the open taxi rank. One is on the enforcement part. We have seen opposite the market in Suva on Sundays, there's a lot of double parking by taxi drivers, because everybody wants to have a space in the ranks to cater for customers coming from the market and also on the supermarket, the RB supermarket. And with that, and also it's created congestions in the main towns and cities, and also it has deprived the rural dwellers for taxi service. Certain of our staff who reside in Rewanga, they can wait for 1 to 2 hours in the morning just for a taxi to take them from Rewanga to Walilevu, because all the taxis are moving from the opposite directions. They're coming from the Nausuri side to the Suva, because that's where most of the demands are. So in terms of, we are reviewing that working with our stakeholders in terms of discussions with the Fiji Taxi Owners Association, and also we have had discussions with another association in Lautoka and ways in which to address this, especially where the issuance of the barrel taxis had taken place in terms of 91, 92, and Lautoka, we are close to about 1,600 extra permits was issued. And we are working with also with our line ministry in order to ensure that this revision is undertaken, and also to ensure to assist the revamping of the municipal councils.
Are you looking at a taxi-based system with the municipal council as like before?
We are thinking along that line. Yeah.
This question from Central Eastern Minibuses Association President. He's asking, Naresh is asking, minibus permit amendment recently. He's saying the association came to know that an amendment of the existing permit was done by LTA. However, as per the Act, no amendment can be done to the existing permit. It should be surrendered and then the new application needs to be done. They want clarification on this matter.
Yeah. I'd like to thank the Fiji Minibus Association member for raising that, and just for the information of the public, there are regulations in place that empowers LTA to undertake those. At the end of the day, it's our legislative duty to ensure that there is public service transportation to the general public. There are discretions in the law to assist LTA in ensuring that we ensure that there's public service. And take for example, if there's a minibus running along the Suba corridor and there's no services provided in the Nepani, we can amend that permit in order to ensure, and not only to a request, we can enforce that public service vehicle to address the transportation needs at Nepani, just for an example. Yeah.
There's one issue about night service minibus permits. The association president is saying they want to know what their permit condition is, since they are operating it in the daytime as well.
Probably they can reach out to Land Transport Authority. We can deal it with on a case-by-case basis, but just for the information of the general public, and through the government of the day, Cabinet has approved the uplifting of the moratorium that was been there for probably more than a decade in terms of the LH, LR, in terms of the LM. For the information of the general public, there's been a lot of queries along minibus permits, but just to give the heads up to the general public, we are concentrating on the rural areas. The main trunks in terms of Suba, Nosori, and also in Lautoka, Nadi or Lautoka Suba, it's already been oversupplied. And we are concentrating on the rural areas where services is neglected or is very minimal.
Question from Ba, Dhiren Prasad is asking that the people in Ba say when hiring the taxis there, the drivers tell them the fare. And when asked to turn on the meter by the passenger, the drivers refuse to go or take the passenger with the meter on. They say this was raised to the Ba LTA with no improvement shown. They're asking you as the acting CEO to look into that and whether anything can be done.
No, Oliver. Just for the information of the general public, taxi drivers have the legislative duty to always on their meters upon undertaking a service. If the general public comes across instances where the taxi driver refuses to on their meter, they can take down the registration number of the vehicle and also the particular incident, the time, and report it to LTA. And we will surely issue traffic infringement notice on those and also bring the public service vehicle driver to task.
Another question: in the recent past, this person is saying LTA has had checkpoints just to inspect the LTA compliance stickers, which means they are more interested in getting revenue than enforcing laws about road safety. Is that an accurate picture of LTA's enforcement strategy?
Yeah, we now available, Vijay, like I mentioned, in terms of our functions, we carry out all those three functions: enforcement, regulations, and customer service. The fines are there for to create deterrent measures, so that you comply with the law, with the rules and the regulations, and you work within the ambits of the law. We are pleading with the general public. LTA is not a money-making institution. We are here to serve the public, and we are public servants, and public service delivery is paramount. And road safety is one of the overarching functions of a land transport authority.
And all the money you collect is deposited in the government accounts on a daily basis.
We don't keep a single cent.
Now, what are the measures in place to address and prevent corrupt practices, knowing that there have been incidents in the past of bribery and corruption?
I do admit that we have received reports, and we have taken a number of our tasks, number of our officers to task, and they have been summarily dismissed from Land Transport Authority. And I can assure the general public, Land Transport Authority, we have zero tolerance on any criminal related or any corruption practices. And like I said, we are working within our processes, in our systems, to ensure that we embed preventive controls and embed detection controls in our processes in order to eliminate these incidents where it creates opportunities for fraudulent transactions to take place. And me as the acting chief executive officer, this is something that I disseminate within our organizations, and also ensure that any proven cases, the officer is taken to task, and not only that, it's also reported to the FICAC or Fiji Police for that matter.
How many officers have been disciplined this year compared to last year?
Probably 5, and some are dismissed. Playing around with wheel tax, playing around with foreign driver license. Yes.
What steps are being taken to crack down on illegal taxis? A lot of people are saying that this is out of control, mainly at night, and nothing is being done about it.
We understand that there's a grave concern on illegal operations, and we are thankful for the revamping of our 24/7 shift, and also we are trying to come up with measures, and not only to probably eliminate these illegal taxis, also in other measures where we can probably regulate them, and because we have seen in certain cases the current taxi holders, they are no longer seen in the night. It's only these illegal operators are operating. While that being said, we're working with the line ministry in order to uplift the moratorium on taxi permits, and we can see that while we are issuing permits, it also eliminates our enforcement exercise. Because we've seen in previous cases the issues of the taxi permit, while we are issuing on the left, illegal operation was still thriving on the right. So it defeats the whole purpose. While we are carrying out our legislative duty on the left, it also just created other headaches on the right. So we would like to probably have one stone, we tackle two birds.
That's the show for tonight. The acting CEO of Land Transport Authority, Mr. Irimaia Rokosawa, making it very clear that LTA is now back on 24/7 operation, and issues faced by LTA in the past few years of non-visibility on our roads was because of government not providing adequate funding for our LTA officers to be on the road, which resulted in known as enforcement by LTA. Things are changing now with 24/7 operations and combined with the police. And as the acting CEO has also stated, 147,000 registered vehicles in the country, 350,000 having driver's licenses, and then on top of that, that does not include the passengers and the pedestrians that the LTA is to look at. The other issues that are being looked at, and people will be interested in that, in relation to the PSV drivers and those mandatory tests that be considered for drugs, real concern there, issues to be looked at in relation to that, and those traffic light or red light cameras, a lot of concerns being raised about that. At this point in time, the immediate way to reach out to LTA, of course, is by texting 582 or emailing help@lta.com.fj or live chat through the LTA website, lta.com.fj. We know that you had really wanted the LTA on the show, on Fiji Village Straight Talk. You've got that opportunity, and no doubt this will not be the only time that the acting CEO will return to the show, and we'd like to thank you on behalf of our listeners and followers on Fiji Village for watching this. Until next week, have a great evening.